What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Good Time Podcast. I'm Anthony. This is Joe.
What's up?
Thank you for listening. Before we do anything, you need to go and give us a 5-star review on Spotify. Go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ask us a question of something you want us to answer on here. We love reading the comments. We want to hear from you. So we have an interesting one today. We woke up today and decided to choose violence. And the violence today is going to be about drum endorsements. We are going to do a deep dive on drum endorsements, what a drum endorsement means, why you need drum endorsements, why you don't need drum endorsements, how to get drum endorsements, how drum endorsements affect the brand, how they affect the player. And yeah, we're just gonna kind of take you down the rabbit hole of what goes on in our brains. As many of you know, I run Rocklocks, right? That's a product that I invented. It's a company that I run. We have an artist roster that I have built, and I've been very particular about how I've built this roster because it all comes into play in the grand scheme of running a drum business. So, yeah, let's get started. So the first thing that we could ask ourselves is, why do you need a drum endorsement? Okay, so I think this kind of kicks off a thought process about, when you're younger, and you don't really know what it's like or what it means to be a professional drummer. When you're a teenager and you just go, I want to be a pro drummer and I want to be endorsed. Right. And you read the magazines, you see the YouTube videos, and now it's social media, right? You see it now and you go like, damn, that guy's endorsed by DW. That's so cool, man. Like DW must send him unlimited free stuff. That's so cool. Right. That's what I thought when I was that age. And I thought that it's like, oh, when you become a pro drummer, that's just a part of the game. And there's a lot to unwrap here. So we're gonna try to take it piece by piece and really, talk about these topics. But essentially, when you join a high level band that is touring a lot, or really a band that is just touring a lot, specifically with drums, it is very nice if you have at least cymbal endorsements. That's actually that's the most valuable one. And Joe, why is that the most valuable one?
I know they're made of metal, but those things break easily too.
That's right.
And they're expensive.
That's right.
More so above that.
That's right.
They're freaking expensive, dude. How many times on tour before I was endorsed, I'd break a cymbal, and to save money, I'd end up with an SBR crash just to make it through some gig,
Yep.
You need a cymbal endorsement if you're touring a lot.
Yeah, or people learn. Andrew, my drum tech we brought on, he learned how to drill out the cracks to make the cymbal last a little bit longer with a Dremel, which is that's great and it's cool in a pinch. But ultimately, what ends up happening with a lot of low-level touring bands, myself included at one point, is you end up playing with a bunch of busted-ass broken cymbals that just don't really sound good, and they're not fun to play. They're falling apart. Pieces of metal are flying off. I mean, I've literally been hit in the face by a piece of metal from a cymbal that flew, my own cymbal. So when you're actually out on tour playing a ton of shows, it's damn, it'd be really nice if I could get these cymbals swapped. So how a lot of not every company's the same, but how a lot of cymbal companies work with endorsements. It can be a couple different ways. It can be they give you a discount on cymbals, and then you can swap those cymbals in for free. That's kind of the main way that these companies do it. Is they go, hey, you send us back your broken ones, we'll send you new ones. I could speak for Zildjian. They have a proprietary system where they melt the cymbals back down and make new cymbals out of them. So they're happy to take your broken cymbals. Yeah, I saw it at the factory. It's actually a really cool thing if you can ever tour the factory, because there's only I forgot what they said, but there's only 2 or 3 people alive on planet Earth who know what happens in that room It's like a really secret thing that gets passed down the family tree or whatever, because that company's been around for 400 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But the point is that like I get my cymbals swapped, right? Some people get unlimited free cymbals and it just doesn't really matter. You play drums in Corn or whatever. I'm sure Ray gets whatever he wants. I'm not positive, but that's kind of what you hear. You know, you're just going like,
yeah, based on like my relationship with Peisty and how they treat me, I can imagine some of the guys, especially at Peisty, yeah, they're not paying for anything ever. So like the high level guys.
Eloy. It's like if Eloy wakes up and says, "Hey guys, I got the Slipknot gig and I need 40 cymbals," they go, "Okay, here you go."
Deal. Send it. Yeah,
great. So back to the why. A lot of people think that they need drum endorsements. I would go as far as saying, yes, on a low level, if you can get some cymbals replaced, that's going to save you a lot. That's going to be the biggest expense. Second to that, if you can get a deal on sticks have gotten so expensive, bro.
Crazy.
Like, I cannot believe how expensive drumsticks are. I feel awful for younger drummers. Like the economy is in the tank and inflation is just ridiculous, and drumsticks are now $18 a pair or whatever. It's
almost
it's
$20 is crazy.
It's crazy. That being said, even if you have a decent endorsement, you're still just going to get a discount. Like, you're still buying sticks. It's just not, you know, some people get free sticks, some people get discounted sticks. But the point is, early in your touring career, is to help you save some money. As you get further along and you start talking about backlining is when you rent a drum kit in whatever city you're playing in. Oftentimes bands will go to tour, they'll rent a kit for the whole, bands will go to Europe and they'll rent a kit for the whole run, right? And so they call a backline company ahead of time and they say, hey, how much is it to rent a drum kit for 6 weeks, right? If you have a drum endorsement, that can sometimes be free or very heavily discounted, right? So it saves the band a bunch of money. In a hired gun situation where your day rate doesn't change, your salary doesn't change based on how much money the band spends, you might kind of look at it and go, like, I don't know, does it really matter if I'm getting a discount from a backline company? Like, I'm not really sure, but I want to reiterate this. Other than cymbals and sticks, we skipped over heads. And the reason I will say this is that in low-level touring bands, for most people, you can do like a whole tour on like 2 sets of drum heads. So
yeah,
sometimes one. I mean, I've done long strings of shows on one snare head. I toured with a lot of bands back in the day that would do an entire tour on one set of heads. So it's not impossible. It's just, they start to kind of sound like cardboard over time. But the reason I left heads out is because yes, drum heads are expensive, but it's kind of a nominal expense in the grand scheme of like the rest of the drum kit. Like, because you're actually burning through sticks and you're actually burning through cymbals, and cymbals are so expensive that, whatever. But the reason I'm saying this is that a lot of people think they need a drum endorsement.
Like an actual drum, or just endorsements in general?
I think endorsements in general. I think people kind of, and I'm talking to myself as an early 20s, mid 20s, going like, or even, like I started to get gigs and I thought, oh, I need drum endorsements. Right, but it's like I said, past the cymbals and the sticks, you really don't. Like, you really don't. And you don't really need the sticks. Like, you can probably figure out a way to get by or buy cheaper sticks or whatever. But like, as far as the drum brands go, I really haven't encountered a part in my life where I've just been like, oh my, how am I going to survive without a drum endorsement? And that's why by drum brand. And that's why you see so many people touring at a high level who still don't have drum endorsements. Like Jake Smelly from Gideon as a guy who always comes to mind. Jeeves, who we had on the podcast, who's playing with Hollywood Undead, no drum endorsement. It's like, so they're playing in big bands, touring, making money. No drum endorsement. They're just playing their kit that they have at home. And so the reason I want to bring this all up is that I want to make it clear that like drum endorsements are not the end all be all. It's not. You shouldn't be thinking too much about it. And you shouldn't be sitting there thinking like I need this, otherwise like I can't be a pro, or I can't whatever, or people will think of me differently or whatever. It's like, no, not at all. Like I think Jeeves is so sick. I think Jake is so sick. Like them not having a drum endorsement doesn't make me think anything about them, right? Because there's plenty of people with drum endorsements who are dog shit drummers. So and I look at them and I go, well, that's too bad that brand gave them free drums because they never earned it.
Yeah, fair.
All they
there's
have,
a lot of that. There's a lot of that.
Well, there's a lot of that, and we're gonna get into that. Like you, Joe, you don't even have a drum endorsement, like drums.
Nope.
So you have Peisty and Diodario. So you get Evans, Promark, and Peisty.
And I'm covered because, I mean, if anyone watches my YouTube channel, I buy drums all the time. Like I have hella drums. I don't need a company to give me drums. At that point, dude, I feel like the cymbals and sticks and heads, that's like essential. The drums, I feel like that's just more of like a status thing. Like, look what team I'm on, maybe.
It can definitely feel that way. Especially when it gets into the higher levels and it's like, oh, they're sending me a bunch of free stuff. Like, it's pretty dope to get some free stuff, right? But like, it doesn't, like, there's a bunch of drummers out there who just play whatever they want to play and they don't really care about endorsements and just like,
whatever. They don't want
endorsement. They don't even want it. They're just like, I'll just play whatever I want to play. Okay, so I want to give the listeners like an insider scoop on how logistically, like how logistics work with like drum kits. So, for example, let's say you're in a band the size of Gideon. Let's use Jake as an example. Jake and Gideon. If Gideon is going to go do a tour in Europe, they are not going to ship a container of gear over to Europe. They're not going to use their home rig. They're going to rent gear over there. Or some bands, like I remember Miss May I, they at one point they had amassed enough gear so that they actually had a Euro rig and they let it live there in a storage unit in like Germany or whatever. And so like I've seen bands do that. But the point I'm trying to make here is that if you're not going to have a full second rig over in Europe or ship your gear over, which is very expensive, you're going to rent a drum kit. Okay. So either way, you're kind of stuck doing that. And it's very normal. People backline drum kits all over the place. And sometimes really big bands have to do it. Mm-hmm. So that's a totally normal thing. Like it's
that's what I do every time I go to Europe too. I just rent.
Yeah. And if you don't have a drum endorsement, you just kind of look a lot down the list and you go like, I want a Thomas Star Classic. I want a DW Collectors. I want to, like, you pick kind of the classic, like reliable, the Pearl Masters, like the reliable, kits that can just be beat up over and over and over again. And really the downside is that you're just playing a kit that's been played a lot, but it's definitely preferable to have your gear shipped over. I'm not going to lie. Like I've done both. And when you get to play your own drums in Europe, it's pretty badass. But my own drums, I love Pearl and I'm endorsed by Pearl, but my own drums could be whatever I want them to be if I wasn't with Pearl. Right. So, which brings me to my next topic, which is good versus bad endorsements. I want to cover this really quickly. Do not get duped by, and I'm going to try really hard not to make this like a shit talking episode, but do not get duped by the brands that go, hey, we'll give you 15% off our made up list price so that you can say that you're endorsed by us. This is something that I think a lot of people got away with at the start of the internet age. And I think it's dying out. And I think I've always thought this. I've thought it's a short-term solution. It is a looking at a short-term win versus the long-term of building a great brand and also building great relationships, and also just what it means to like get an endorsement. If a company says, "Hey, look, our cymbals on the shelves are $300, but you get them for $260, and you get to say you're endorsed," even if that number was $200 and you get to tell everybody you're endorsed, what is the point of this? Is the point of this to say that you're endorsed? Is the point of this to get a discounted cymbal? Is it a cymbal you even want to play? Because the brands I'm thinking of right now are ones that I wouldn't want to play. I got duped by one of these companies in my early 20s. Again, I'm not going to. Some of you could go look back on my YouTube channel. You'll figure it out. But you get, and it's actually kind of like it. The reason I want to talk about this is aggravating to me because as a guy who runs a brand now, runs a company, it's like, are these people like preying on like kind of kids? Like, are they robbing kids in local bands? It's like, hey, we'll give you an endorsement. We'll post about you. We'll put you on our website. And like, but you're still buying, they're still making money off of you. Like, in my opinion, if you're an endorsed artist, the brand should be losing money on you. But what they should be getting out of it is marketing. Okay? And we're going to get into that. But they should be they shouldn't be making a profit off of you. That's not the point. The point is that this is an exchange of goods and services. Like, hey, we give you gear or we give you heavily discounted gear that I love like the idea of like a break-even rule. Like, hey, we'll just give it to you for cost. That's awesome. I think that's a model that more brands should use. Like, hey, you and I have talked about this, but it's like, hey, we can't give you a free kit, but like, just help us break even here. Like, bet I'll pay cost. That's amazing. Give me cost on whatever I want, and I'll post about you guys, and I'll do all that. That's a killer deal. Yeah. That's a killer deal, bro. And I don't see that happen a lot, and I don't understand why. Because if Rock Locks were more expensive, that would be my model. I'd give free stuff to the big dogs, and then everybody else, I'd go, hey, you can just get it for cost. Not complicated. Okay. Yeah. So there are good endorsements and there are bad endorsements. Bad endorsements are ones where they say, hey, you get 10 or 15% off, and you get to say you're endorsed. Don't do that. Good endorsements are ones that you feel like you're actually getting something out of it, and they feel like they're getting something out of it.
Yeah.
So
it's a two-way street, right?
It's a two-way street. So, Joe, how do you get a drum endorsement?
Ooh, in big 2026? What are we, halfway through the year here? All right, June 2026. How do you get a drum endorsement? It's changed over the last 5 years.
Specifically in June of 26. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. This is a quick moving. Things are changing here. No, I'm just kidding. No, but for real, it has changed because a few years ago, I would have, if you asked me this question, I would have probably put like social media at the top because there was a moment there for a couple years, like 2021, 22, where like that was the move. But now it's not as much that anymore. Really, to get drum endorsements, you got to bring value to the company in some way because it's a two-way street, like we just mentioned. I don't think any company is going to endorse you if you're just sitting at home and only making content right now. Do you think?
Well, that's a big point of contention, and this is why I hit you up this morning. I was like, we need to do a deep dive on this because we've touched on drum endorsements in a past episode, but like this is something that if you're listening to this and you're a drummer and you take drums seriously on any level, you've definitely seen this. Like, definitely seen this. So when I was coming up, how you got in drum endorsements was by basically one of two ways. You either had to have a huge gig, and a lot of times what happens with a huge gig, especially if it's like a gig that's not like a pop gig, like I'm talking about like rock bands where everybody knows who the drummer is. Some pop, you know what I'm talking about? Like some pop gigs, nobody knows who the drummer is.
Sure.
But a lot of rock gigs, you see like Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's like
Travis Barker,
yeah, legendary band, cool drummer. They don't even have to be the best drummer in the world. They just got to be a cool drummer and a cool band.
Yeah, Two from Sleep Token. He's like famous as a drummer.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, he actually all three of these guys we just mentioned fall into a second category as well. But like, I'm not gonna name names, but there's guys who are just cool drummers and cool bands, and their style is cool. They're not the best drummers in the world. They're not even really drummers, but they're just like cool enough, and the band's cool enough that like it's worth giving them free stuff because they're gonna provide you a return on the investment. Okay. So there's those types of drummers, and then there's drummers that I call drummers, the Matt Gartskas of the world. Animals as Leaders is not that big of a band. Like,
no.
compared to Red Hot Chili Peppers, it's like not even close, not even
Yeah.
the same stratosphere. But Matt Gartzka deserves all the free gear on planet Earth because he provides a return on investment. He gives you value. He adds so much to your brand because drummers are watching him.
Right.
Actual people who play the drums, who care about the craft of drums, are watching Gartzka. And when Gartzka switched from Tama to DW, I bet you a bunch of kids out there went, guess what? I'm playing DW now.
Dude, absolutely. Yeah, he has so much influence. That absolutely happened. People do that with me. When I joined
Yes.
Evans and ProMark, like people were switching because of that. So I can only imagine Garska.
Dude, for sure. And like, so back when I was coming up, it was like I said, one of two things. Or actually, a good example from when I was a kid was Josh Freese, who's obviously still Josh Freese, but I'm just meaning like he's not the member of he's a hired gun, but he's a drummer's drummer, right? Yeah. So like everybody who plays drums knows he's a sick drummer, and he's played with a bunch of big bands, but he's a drummer's drummer, and that's how he got drum endorsements. The new era includes social media. And I want to make it clear that these three things are not mutually exclusive. They can all overlap. So for example, the way you and I met, and the reason I wanted you to be a Rock Locks artist is because you have two of those things. You have the internet presence, but you're also a drummer's drummer, right? Like you're not in a huge band, but if you were in a huge band, you'd have the trifecta. Like that would be the trifecta. If Dropout Kings blows up, you're literally at the trifecta. Or if you got hired by some massive band, it's like you're there.
Sure.
But what happens is that a lot of brands have fallen for the trap of social media. It's old guys in suits who barely play the drums, who don't know a damn thing about the drum, like they have no finger on the pulse of the industry. Like they might understand business, they might know how to sell something, but drumming and like the drum industry as a ecosystem, so many of these people have no pulse on it, bro. It is psychotic, and they don't know they couldn't tell you who the cool drummers are. They couldn't tell you who the bad drummers are. They couldn't look at a TikToker and go, that guy's good or bad. They can't tell if somebody's editing a drum video. They don't have the ear, the eyes for this kind of stuff. So some of these guys, or gals, they just see views. They go, content, views. Everyone's saying TikTok. Everyone's saying marketing, TikTok, views. Like, everyone's saying we just need more content and more views. It's like, okay, but are those views actually doing one of two things? Are they providing a return on your investment? Okay. Question A. Question B, is it strengthening or is it hurting your brand? And this is what I really wanted to get into because this is the nitty-gritty of this conversation. Again, not going to name names, but when I describe this situation, many of you are going to have people that come to mind. Think about somebody who has an Instagram or TikTok following or YouTube of 500,000 people or more, and they do not have a gig, and they're not a drummer's drummer. Okay, you could probably think of some people. I'm thinking of them right now. Okay? Okay. So if you're a brand like DW, legendary brand, the Rolls Royce of drums, everybody loves DW. They got the factory in the USA. They got the laundry list of OG artists, like the whole thing, right? When they decide, I'm going to send a bunch of I'm going to send a free drum kit and free hardware to somebody who is just an internet drummer. All that person has to offer you is views. I believe, and I've believed this from day one, that the return on investment is too low to make that worthwhile. I think it is a bad decision. I think it's a bad decision because the people watching those views, the video might get a lot of views, but these videos are hitting Gen Pop. They're hitting random middle-aged moms and dads who don't know anything about drums. They just see Madonna in the style of Led Zeppelin or whatever, and some person who barely knows how to play drums who edited their video but like they made it look really pretty, or they like wore only a little bit of clothing, or they like hit the drums really hard, or whatever they did to get your eyeball, whatever they're doing that's working on social media, they're just doing that. And I think that a lot of times what happens is that these videos are not being watched by drum. I'm not watching those videos.
No,
and
it doesn't translate to sales. They're not a drummer's drummer like you mentioned, so it's not like hyping anyone up to buy drums.
No, I don't know if these companies think that they can trick drummers or like trick young drummers or something, like, but young drummers are not stupid. They're not like a 15-year-old who takes drums seriously for 2 years is better than these drummers that I'm talking about. So sure. They're not going to watch one of these drummers with 700,000 followers who's making awful content and sucks at drums. They're not going to watch that and go, oh man, I want to buy DW now. They're going to go, DW is kind of lame for like, why did they send them that? Like they're gonna kind of think the opposite. I think that it hurts the brand. I think that it ultimately hurts the brand. It's not worth the time. And and too many brands. Unfortunately, DW is getting the brunt of my frustration at this moment. I love DW, and I want to make that clear. I think DW should hire me, and I could help out a lot, honestly. But it's just they're not the only ones. A bunch of brands have done this. They try to attach their wagon to internet drummers, and they're not getting anything out of it. And then look at your answer when I asked you the question. I said, how do you get a drum endorsement? And you said, well, a couple years ago during COVID, it seemed to be the internet, but that seems to kind of die off. Boom. They're all now realizing that, oops, that was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Oops, it's 2026. And we realized that attaching our brands to like, internet drummers who don't move the needle for actual drummers is a waste of time and money. I'm going to go on record and say I knew that all along. I could have told you that 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. No, it's really more so you have to be really good. Like you said, if you can become that drummer's drummer where you're just so good at drums, you can have a lot of influence, like Garska, like Two from Sleep Token. They deserve all those endorsements, and they do move the needle for those companies. Another factor you gotta take into account here is who you know, because
big time.
That's a huge one too. I mean, that's more important than social media right now. If you know someone, have a good relationship with someone, that's a lot of the times how endorsements happen, right?
That's a great point, dude, because when I think back to all the endorsements I have, they all came from relationships that took years to build. And that's the truth. And I'm really glad you brought this up, because that's something for people listening who want drum endorsements to think about. If I could talk to my 19-year-old self again, this is what I would say. I'd go, hey, don't worry about any of this stuff, man. Like, just play the gear you want to play.
Yeah.
Play whatever gear makes you happy. Buy your favorite cymbals, your favorite drums, whatever. And just do your best. Work extra jobs if you have to. Do whatever you have to do. You're going to eat shit for a long time. You're going to struggle for a long time. When the time comes that your band is actively touring, it'll be fairly easy to get at least a cymbal endorsement. You could at least get one of those, like, pretty easily if you're in an active touring band. And then you could worry about the other stuff later. But that to me is because I remember when I got the Zildjian endorsement, that changed everything, because it was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to. That's a huge expense, you know?
Yeah. Life changing, literally.
Life changing. Yeah.
How do you get the relationships though? Because like if you answer that question and say, oh, relationships is a real important thing, it's like, okay, what do I got to do to meet these people? Because a lot of people are thinking that, you know, social media, perhaps.
Well, that's a good. No, I would actually say no. I would say no. Like, I know all these A&R reps, man. You do not want to be the guy DMing them or emailing them going, hey, can I have an endorsement?
Oh no, absolutely not.
That is a played out tactic that comes off as corny. It comes off as insecure. It's just not the way to do things. I think that many people this is just a fact of life. People want the easy way out. They don't want to actually do the hard work. But if you put in the hours that Matt Garska put in, guess what? You'd be so good that people would be sending you free shit whether you had 10,000 followers or 1 million followers. Like, if if you had Matt, if you would put the hours in Matt Gartz could put in, you would be playing in a professional band at some level. Like you're
For
going to
sure.
be so good that you're just so obviously being just good is not the only piece, and that's why I included the other things. If you are a drummer with style, if you're a cool drummer, if you're someone who's fun to watch, like Jeeves mentioned when he saw Rob Zombie play for the first time, and he's like, dude, he's like throwing his sticks in the air and he's doing this and there's fire, and it's like Jeeves and I had a long conversation 2 days ago about how when we were kids we bought gear because our favorite drummers were playing it. And that's kind of how this whole conversation this week started, is like we just bought whatever our favorite drummers played.
Straight up. Joey
And back
Jordan
to what I was saying.
Wanted
Yes,
it.
totally. Back to what I was saying. I'd venture to say that there are very, 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 very few people on this planet whose favorite drummer is some TikTok who sucks at drums. Some TikToker who sucks at drums. It could be a few people's favorite drummer, but those people are not serious drummers and they're not spending money on real drums anyway.
Right.
Because they're just not.
They're just casual.
They're casual. Right. Like I have a piece of shit drum kit in the basement and I barely play twice a year, and my favorite drummer is a TikToker, maybe, but those people aren't making major purchasing decision anyway, right? So I want to circle back to the two-way street thing here. So when you're building a brand, like what I did with Rock Locks from day one is I wanted to build a really strong brand. I know it's just a little piece of plastic. I know it's just a tension rod lock. I know it's just an accessory. For many of the major drum brands, it's just one of like hundreds or even thousands of SKUs that they sell. I took that as a challenge because I'm like, if I can build a brand around a tension rod lock, that would be cool. Like something that people want. So with Rock Locks, I tried to make a very deliberate effort to sign, drummers that really align with the brand, right? Like I wanted to only sign people who I considered like pro level players who have something to add to the overall brand. Because I use the DW example. If all DW did was sign internet drummers, they're gonna dilute their brand so fast, bro. But then if all they did was sign like drummers, it might be a little too like niche, right? They might be like too boutique or whatever. There is a healthy balance in there somewhere, but I think the point is that people aren't stupid, and that as a drum brand, you should align yourself with real drummers. Like you really shouldn't spend a whole lot of time, thinking that some extra views on the internet are going to really move the needle for your brand. What moves the needle for your brand is building a strong brand. It moves the needle long term. Because frankly, I feel like DW has fell off a little bit, with all due respect. Like, I think ever since Roland bought them, they fell off big time. And I don't think I'm the only one who thinks that. I still love the drums. I still love the hardware. Like, I know people who work there. It's not heading in a good direction, in my opinion. Times have changed. Now let's talk about let's go back to the relationship thing real quick. You said, how do you make relationships? All of my relationships with my reps started because I was touring. Somebody else introduced me. That's how it should happen. Yep. It should be, hey, let me introduce you to so-and-so from Zildjian. Hey, let me introduce you to so-and-so from Pearl. I remember I was drum teching for Papa Roach, and Tony, Papa Roach's drummer, introduced me to John at Pearl. And that's how our relationship started. And I'll admit that I've done this the wrong way. That's why I'm speaking about it. Like, you shouldn't think that just applying online or something is like the way to do it. You should just play what you want to play and wait until these things happen organically. Because if you're doing things the right way, and you're practicing and you're growing your career and you're playing in bigger bands and your band's getting bigger, whatever it is, these things will just happen. They just will.
Right. If you're going to chase anything, chase the gig and chase trying to get your skill level up. Yes, exactly. Chase getting better and chase the gig, because those two things will guarantee you endorsements. Yes. Not like, filling out a bunch of applications and just praying. I fill out many applications back in the day, and I regret all of it. I wish I had just
never done that. Played what I wanted to play and just.
Dude,
So
I got to tell you this thing when I was on tour.
yeah.
I met this dude saying how he's endorsed with this specific drum company, and he's got this drum head company and cymbals, and he's got like artist reps. And I was like, oh, who do you play with? And he didn't play with anyone. And, he was like a little drunk too. So the minute he was like, yeah, I don't even play, I'm in a couple bands like around here. And I was like, oh, okay, do you have like a following on the internet or something? He had no follower. Like, he was lying.
Yeah, he was just straight up lying. Yeah.
Dude, I swear to God, he was just straight up like lying, making it up. And I thought it was crazy. Like, that's what the drum endorsement, like, that's what it'll do to people. Like,
it'll like melt your brain. Yeah, it'll melt your brain. Like, I met someone last year who said he was endorsed by a certain drum company and a drum head company, and then I looked them up to see like if his name was on their website, and it wasn't. There's no like history of that being mentioned anywhere, and then it's like, and then you go look at their page and you're like, okay, what is it again? What does this person have to offer the brand? They don't have. They're a decent player. They're on a small gig and they don't have a following on the internet. It's like, what, as a drum brand, how is this person going to move the needle for you? Right. They have to either sell more gear for you or strengthen your brand. It has to be one of those two things. Otherwise, what's the point? Ideally,
why else would you bring them on? Right.
Yeah. Ideally, it's both. But I think that both of those things are really important. Like, you sign the Chad Smiths to sell gear, and then you sign the like Matt Gartzkas to like really strengthen the brand. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's no knock to Chad Smith. You understand what I'm saying? It's just like when you have the ultimate drummer's drummer playing the gear, it's like, damn, well, obviously that gear rocks if fucking Matt's down to play it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But if you're trying to sell sets of Sabian B8s to kids, it might be smart to sign a guy who's just in a big band.
So I saw a post recently, and the dude was like, drum companies don't endorse you. You endorse them. And I got what he meant, right? I read the comments and some people were like, well, it's a two-way street, like we already mentioned, which I agree on. But he stood firm on the whole fact that it was like, no, you endorse them. And I just thought it was interesting because I was like, I mean, I get what you're saying, but no, I think the company endorses you. They're the company with the recognition. They're Pearl. They're known worldwide. If they're going to attach their name to you and bring you under their umbrella, they are endorsing you. And you're getting an endorsement. But the guy like completely disagreed with that. He thought it was the other way around. What do you think on that?
That is a really interesting. Somebody brought this up to me last tour I was on, and it reminded me. I looked up the meaning of endorsement. So I just looked it up here again. So to endorse means to publicly express support or approval for someone, something, or an idea.
There you go.
I think I think I had the same thought when I first read that, which is like, I guess it depends. I think it just depends on because I understand what that person was saying that you were talking about, and my friend who was saying it to me that said the same thing, and I went, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I don't have nearly as much leverage as Pearl does. So
right.
Pearl doesn't need me to tell the world that Pearl rocks.
Bingo. That was my
Pearl
stance.
to tell me that I rock, or right. I need the Pearl to tell the world that I'm worthy of playing Pearl's drums.
For sure.
And then in return, hopefully people see me play Pearl drums and they go, wow, those drums sound awesome. Or, wow, I want to go try out a Pearl snare or a Pearl kit. Or, you said, what about the Pearl hardware? That stuff's really good. Like, I want to try that out. Like, ooh, the Eliminator pedals, those are really cool. Like, what a cool alternative to 9000s. And I think they're actually better. Like, that, so to answer the question, I think it just depends. Because if two from Sleep Token decided to play
a little like Soul Tone cymbals,
like Truth drums or something. Yeah, Soul Tone. There you go. Yeah, I don't know, one of those two. Again, no knock to either of those two. I'm just making a point here.
He'd be endorsing them.
His brand, and especially the brand of his band. If you combine those two, are bigger than soul tone cymbals,
For sure.
right? So he's only going to play exactly what he wants to play. So in his situation, he might actually be endorsing that product. Like you could argue that Two is endorsing Rock Locks, right? Like, cause like, I don't know, it feels like a two-way street. The more that I sit here and think about it, I'm sort of like, you're kind of both endorsing each other. But in my head from day one, it's always been the drum brand endorsing the drummer. It's kind of like saying, cause when I grew up skating and every skater wants to get sponsored. It's like, it's not like you're sponsoring girl skateboards or Etnies or whatever. It's not like you're going, hey, I sponsor Etnies now. It's like,
I'm with Baker.
No, I'm sponsored. Yeah, exactly. I'm sponsored by Etnies now.
Yeah.
And I think the same sentiment applies.
I thought that was an interesting take. That the post I saw, the dude was very firm on it, and he was like, these companies.
Was it like a real drummer, or was it just what was it? Was it somebody who has any sort of knowledge in this field?
I honestly don't know. It was like a shared post in a drum group on Facebook, and it had like a lot of interaction. So I don't know who the guy was or whatever. But yeah, like like I said, I get it, but yeah, it's a two-way street for the most part, I guess. But there always is a bigger party somewhere,
Right. There is, there is, and we're having these conversations on this podcast. Like, I don't know how many people are having these conversations in public. I hope nobody takes offense to any of this stuff. Like, I don't want to come across as like a know-it-all or offensive or anything. Like, I'm just speaking my mind on this stuff because I have these conversations behind closed doors constantly. And there is a common sentiment around the drum community, especially those of us who care a lot about it and who care a lot about kind of our favorite drum brands and all this stuff, and just watching these brands just like completely dilute. I used to look at certain logos and be like, I can't, like, this is the sickest brand, like these logos, everything's so cool. And like, there's some brands I look at now and I just go, what happened, man?
They're diminishing their mystique, and they're like,
yeah, the mystique is gone. The
coveted like esque of it is like, they're diminishing it.
Yeah. I just don't, and there's no reason for it either. It's like having the Rolls Royce but not knowing how to drive it. It's like, damn, why do you have the Rolls Royce then?
It's like you said, dude. The people at the top of the drum industry are old. They're not like with this modern day of thinking, and they're not seeing it the way that you're talking about it right now.
No, and one day I will be old and stupid, and I hope that I at least have the sense of self to like know who to go to be like, hey, what's actually going on here? Because I'm 68 years old and I don't play drums, which that's not going to be the case. I actually will be playing at 68. I'm just making, I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of lack of humility of like, man, why don't you just ask actual drummers what they want? Why don't you just ask young drummers what they want? It is essentially marketing for a brand. They go, hey, we want this drummer on our artist roster. That provides them some level of marketing. It provides them some level of sales. It provides them some, you know what I mean? Like if there was a beverage that you really liked, and the spokesperson for that beverage was like some annoying celebrity that everyone hated, it would probably hurt the sales. But if they picked somebody who everybody loved and who was funny and who was likable, they're probably it's gonna help their brand. It's gonna make everybody look at their brand under a nice light. Well, when you sign dog shit drummers, people start to wonder. They go, well, it used to be impossible to get endorsed by that brand, and now it's like they're just giving kits to people on the internet because they have followers. Why? There used to be you used to have to like work for this. Not that it's easy to get a bunch of followers on the internet, but you used to have to be good at drums. That was the thing, So
no, it's actually crazy when you think about it. A big drum company just recently signed someone that was a social media person that doesn't have like a touring gig. I'll tell you like after, but I thought that was dying out, and it definitely is because it peaked, like I said, a few years ago, but it is still happening. They're still signing the content people.
It still happens. And again, I wonder if it's just, who knows who's making up the reports or whatever, but it's like you know you have these quarterly meetings where they're like, all right, hey, what's up, marketing team? Hey, A&R, who did we sign this quarter? And if they go, ooh, we signed this YouTuber who has 1.2 million subscribers and you know whatever, I would actually, you know, YouTube is kind of a tough one because actually I think YouTube has so much more value than like whatever. But let's use TikTok.
Yeah.
I just think TikTok has the least amount of value, so I'll use
Yeah,
that. But
you're right.
like we signed this person who gets a bunch of views on TikTok, and then the people in the corporate suit, their bosses go, wow, that's so nice, whatever. If they said, hey, we signed Jake from Gideon, who has 15,000 followers, they're going to go, Gideon? Who's that? Who's Jake? His videos only get 20,000 views. This other person gets 200,000 views. But what they don't understand is that the 20,000 people that are watching Jake are all drummers. And they're going,
Right.
fuck, Jake rips.
It's valuable views.
It's valuable views. The 200,000 views, maybe 500 are drummers. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's not a
Yeah.
lot. It's not, back to what I was saying earlier. So that's kind of my point here is that
What company is doing it right out there right now, do you think?
I think, I mean, honestly, all the brands I'm endorsed by, I think are doing it right. I think that Pearl's doing it right. I think nobody's perfect. You know, I don't want to, I think there's things Pearl could do that I would like to see happen for sure. And I've spoken to them about it. But I think Pearl's doing a great job of trying to kind of shepherd in the new generation of cool drummers.
I agree.
So I think Zildjian's always done a great job with this. I think Vic Firth's always done a great job with this. Remo is still one of the hardest drum endorsements to get. So, and guess what? They've built an insanely strong brand by doing that.
They're
Like,
holding their
they don't-
mystique, you know?
Yes, they don't give away the sauce. And to me, that's part of what makes Remo so cool. The product is excellent, and it's sort of this like
Yeah, I
like,
did it. I
catch
got
me
the-
if you can, you know, like
yeah.
you know, you're lucky
Yeah.
if you're on the Remo roster. Like that shit's cool to me, man, because like it
Yeah.
adds something to it. It makes the brand so much cooler. Like you know, I'll use skateboarding as an example again. It's like when I was growing up skating, it's like, damn, bro, it's like all the coolest brands. Like you wanted to ride what Danny Way was riding, or like you wanted to ride what Chad Muska was riding, or like whatever it was. It was just like you'd find your favorite skater and go like, whatever he's riding, I want to have that. Like,
Yeah.
that's the cool thing about like building a brand in the drum space. So, you know, rock locks are a more functional product. Like I think every drummer needs rock locks. It's not like there's not a lot of choices in the tension rod lock world, but
Right.
there's a lot of choices in the drums and cymbals and sticks and heads. But there's certain brands that I think have just really done a great job. I want to shout out for sure Meinl as well. I think Meinl's done an awesome job with their social media and their signings. I think Diodario is a phenomenal company. I think they've done just an unbelievable job with Evans and Promark. I think the products are great. I think the brands are really strong. I think it's a great company. I will say Ludwig's done a great job. Ludwig has signed some bangers in the last couple of years. You know, getting a Ludwig kit on the Lamb of God stage, I thought was one of the coolest things ever. A lot of people were like, huh? That's
Yeah.
a weird fit. That's a weird fit. I don't care. I think it's cool. I think it's cool to have like one random like heavy metal band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because there's such like a rock drummer band or pop drummer brand. And then they randomly did that and then like Turnstile. And I think that's a perfect fit for Turnstile. Like I think seeing a Ludwig logo and what's the color of the kit? The white, like marine pearl or whatever. Like just like that's a cool vibe for a band like Turnstile. That's brand alignment. That's how you build a sick brand.
Yeah, Ludwig like covered a
Yeah.
real wide base when they, as soon as like the Lamb of God thing came about and Art was playing them, it just
Yeah,
shows
it's
like
cool.
Ludwig's like, look, we're here, we're crossing the
Yeah, we're
board
here.
everywhere.
Hey, we
we're
can
here to
make-
stay.
Yeah, we make oak drums that are really loud and punchy, and like you
Yeah.
can play them in Lamb of God, and people are like, "Really? No shit, that's cool."
Yeah.
Like I think that's cool. Like I don't think that they should try to like if Ludwig tried to go too heavy in that world, I think it'd be a bad move. I think if they went like, oh, let's go sign 20 metal drummers, it's like, I don't think that's not your like thing. Like do what you're really good at, but pepper in a couple of those to be like, yeah, also guess what? Turnstile is playing at Ludwig. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
like,
big ones too. Lamb of God and Turnstile.
Ones. Yeah, for sure. And I think there's a lot of bands that could totally pull off a Ludwig kit. I could play a Ludwig kit with Daughtry. I think it would totally make sense. I think it'd be sick.
Yeah, it would work.
But yeah, brands that are thinking about this stuff. Pearl is thinking about these things. That's why John, my rep, he's thinking about these things, and that's why like they're they're getting stronger and stronger. And I think there's like a turn happening. But I've said this before. We'll leave it on this. We've been ranting about this for too long, but I think it's pretty. The drum industry is pretty wide open right now, specifically in the world of drum manufacturers. I think there's a clear opening where any one of them could just like it with the right chess moves over the next 3 to 5 years could emerge as like the top drum brand.
Someone jump on it, man. They got to hire someone. Anthony, you got to get in there and save the day somewhere.
Come on, man. Somebody.
Come on.
Here's what needs to happen. One of these companies needs to buy Rock Locks from me, incorporate it into their brand, and then hire me as like an advisor. That's what needs to happen. And I will help. Hey, Anthony, can you make DW cool again? Sure. I know exactly how. And you guys have all the tools. You're just making some silly decisions.
They're just lacking the knowledge that we're talking about, perhaps. So, maybe that'll happen someday, dude. And then they can sponsor the pod, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Someone. I feel like we can dive more. I feel like we can legit do it part 2 of this. Maybe if you guys want it, leave a comment. I feel like there's still a lot more to talk about on it, but
we could bring on an A&R rep. That'd be cool. I could bring on one of these guys. That would actually be fire. I think that one of the hard things is that it becomes difficult to speak objectively when you work for a company. Just like for me, I'm trying to be as objective as I can. But I have drum endorsements, right? But I wouldn't sign with these companies if I didn't believe in them. Yeah, like I said before, I love all these brands. I love what they're all doing. So is anybody perfect? No, but you got to celebrate the brands that are doing it the right way still. You know what I mean? Because it's very easy to get caught up in that stuff we've talked about, just chasing TikTok views. It's like,
cool.
All right. Anyway, good stuff, man. Thanks everyone for listening. If you have any more questions, please leave some comments. We'll do a follow-up episode, but any questions about drum endorsements at all, period, we're happy to answer them. Let us know what you think. If you think we're both stupid and just completely wrong about all this stuff, that's also cool. I'm also happy to admit I'm wrong. So if I'm wrong about something, please call me out like, hey, you have a different opinion and maybe it's a better opinion. So
we'll talk about that too.
We'll talk about that too. It's an open-ended discussion. We just want to be real with you guys, and that's what this kind of podcast is about, and talking about things that maybe some people don't really want to speak about publicly, but I think it's important that it's talked about. So that's it.
Love it.
Thanks for listening. Go subscribe. Do all that, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
We'll be back soon. Peace.